Sure. And then I'll...
Cool. Okay. Ready? Yeah. All right. Between two mammers, Curtis.
And... Wait, I'm Curtis. You're... Yvonne.
We did it.
Hello.
Hi, Curtis.
So lovely to see you again.
I know. It's so good to see. It's so good to have a conversation with you. I haven't. Oh my God. I know that you've been part of MAMM a few times, but what was the one that you produced, directed? What was the project?
Yeah. So my intro to this lovely MAMM community was through our godfather, as we all know, as Phil Panta.
Oh, Phil, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I acted in one of his shorts, but I was really itching. I was so inspired to, tell something of my own again. I was itching for it, and Phil, I think, recognized that in me, and so he was the one that brought me, to look into MAMM. Like he sent me the call out for the entries and stuff like that, and he was really pushing for me, and he was like, just try it.
He's the one to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Myself, my partner, Fala, and Mark Yanko, we made our first pitch for Grandma's 80th surprise.
It was so good. It was so good. Oh, yeah.
It was a personal story, which was very vulnerable, but sometimes the more specific you can get, the more universal things become as well, which is a beautiful thing about what we do in art, right?
Well, it definitely resonates with people more, and you can feel it.
Yeah.
We felt it when we watched that film, for sure.
And then we came back 2 years later after COVID with Reverse.
That was so good too.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was a whole other kind of genre for you guys too, right?
Yes. So that one, myself, Mark Yanko, again, Josh Aries, and Paula Valdez. Mark Yanko is a big LeBron James fan, and he was like, we got to create a super team. We were like, you know what? Why not maximize this opportunity of telling a great story and just collaborate with even more filmmakers? So we had essentially 4 filmmakers clashing our heads together, and for me, it was a dream come true because I had always wanted to dive more into action and utilize some of the martial arts that I've learned throughout the years and stuff like that. And
where did that story come from? Like the goodness of it?
It was my story idea. I wanted to tell a simple story, but take all of these references from a lot of these other films that I was really into at the time. So it's got a bit of a Matrix vibe meets Hitch. Right. We wanted to smash all these different genres together that we hadn't seen before. Yeah. I gave that concept to Paulo. Paulo fleshed out the script in a day. I have to give a shout out to Milton Ng as well, our 5th producer, collaborator on Reverse. He was a major part, success and being able to tell that story. So shout outs to you, Milton. Yeah, and then Josh just took it away, and Mark just shot the crap out of it, and we're off to the races.
Fantastic! Oh my gosh! Did you guys do festival runs after that too?
We did.
You did.
Yeah.
Cool.
We
did. Oh, that's so good.
So so 2019 was my inaugural year, and to this day it still has just the most incredible lasting effect on me, and I'm just so grateful. Target acquired. Triggering red alert.
So I was introduced by our lovely friend Mayumi, who we both know and love. Incredibly talented filmmaker. Oh my God. So she was part of Mayumi. Mayumi was part of it in MAMM 15 in 2020, right when the pandemic was hitting. It was great. So she messaged me. She's like, "Hey, I don't know if you've heard about this, but I would love to see a pitch from you if you wanted to do something." And I was like, yeah, because she knew that I wanted to do more writing, more producing, more directing, and I was all 3 of this for this particular short. Luckily, it got through. It was a really simple story. I think that year, the max that it could be was 5 minutes, and you could only have 6 people on set, including your actors, at all times. So it was a skeleton crew, but it was really fun. It was so much fun. I got to do the short with my really good friend, Adriana Kamsa, who was my DOP on it. And it was like such a full circle thing for me because her short film, when I first came to Vancouver, God, almost 10 years ago to do this acting thing, her short film was one of the first things I ever acted in. Wow. And we were really good friends ever since, and I wanted to work with her on something and bring her on in some way. So for us, it was really special because I got to work with like one of my best friends again.
I'm a journalist.
Oh, wow. That's hard work. It's interesting, but hard.
Yeah. Well, not as hard as yours, I'm sure.
It has its moments.
It was like such a crazy time, I think, for all of us, but I was so grateful for the program because, I don't know if you felt this way too, but during that time, everything shut down.
Yeah.
And we were just so like anxious just to create and to do something with each other, but then this whole global pandemic was happening. You're like, I don't know, but it made it safe for everybody, and the program was really well run. It was virtual that year. It was really fun watching all of the shorts online, and then you guys did like the awards were like knocking on people's door. But it was so good. It was great, and it just really shows the amazing capacity of people to be able to come together still as a community and like create something no matter what the hell is happening in the world.
And sometimes when you have, you know, limitations or boundaries, right? Sometimes you have to get even more creative and more artistic with creating within those.
I actually think it's better.
Yeah.
I truly think it's better. People think they want the dream of like, here's an unlimited budget. Here, to me, creativity happens in constraints. There has to be rules of a story. There has to be rules of a game for you to create within that space. And without that, it's like, well, how do I focus on what I actually want to do? So, I mean, for that, what was really nice is I got to tell just a really simple story, which is what I wanted, between two women, having a conversation and just have it at that and just leave it at that. And so, yeah, it was nice to have that opportunity, and they gave that to me. So, yeah, it was great.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, God, what a memory. It's been years already.
2021. I mean, it felt like yesterday, but it also felt like a decade ago, but also it was 3 years ago. How about
I
that?
know. Isn't that wild?
4 years ago, sorry, 2020.
4 years ago. No.
Wow.
But one of the first things I ever did as an actor was when I met you on a Nickelodeon set.
I remember that. And it was such a badass role for you too. It's no wonder that you're still a badass, and even more so, and kicking ass
You
to
too.
this day.
What's wrong?
Nothing. Nothing, babe. You want some tea?
Yes, please.
Hey, so Ella, where did you say your parents are from again?
My mom is English, my dad is Nigerian.
No Indonesian in you then?
No?
What about like a dash of Hawaiian, maybe?
Ryan? Shut up.
Yeah, so you wrote, produced, directed, acted. It's a lot of hats to wear. Yeah. How did that feel? I know how it feels. How did it feel for you having to do all that?
How did it feel? Oh, you want to get into it? No. So it was, you know, very vulnerable, jumping right in and being like, I have a story to tell and I want to tell it. And I think because it was such a specific story, and it was a story that like I could really visualize in my head, that was clear as day.
Yeah.
The writing process was actually quite simple for me, surprisingly. I've never fancied myself as a writer. I don't.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really. I write when I can see the story, like it's clear as day. And when that MAMM deadline was approaching, it just gave me all the motivation I needed to just get cracking. And when I sat down, I don't know, just lightning just hit, inspiration just took over, and I wrote the thing in like 20 minutes because it was just like.
I hear you though. The deadline comes up, and I work good under pressure.
Yeah.
I work best under pressure. Absolutely. Otherwise, I'm so lazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I got. You know, but if I feel the impetus of being like, okay, that the clock is ticking, you got to get something done. Yeah.
I banged out this first draft, and I was literally like, what happened? Like, where am I? I just kind of blacked out, and I sent the first draft off to my partner, and I think I low-key wanted her to say no, and she surprisingly took a strong liking to it. And then it was so much easier having a partner in it, especially a co-director that you trust. It was like having a second brain on set.
Yeah.
So that made it so much easier. And you know, when you trust your DOP and Mark, you know, Youngko, his eye, he just totally understood what the aesthetic we were trying to go for and the feeling that we were trying to go for. Our editor, Tom Belding, you know, he actually cut a version of it, which is the version that's out now to the public, that was so much better than any of us even imagined. So it was a true collaborative process, and we were just so lucky that everyone said yes and just came on board with the best attitude.
Yeah, when you find your crew, you find your crew. It's all about like finding your people. Absolutely. Sometimes, and it takes a lot of iterations sometimes to do that, which is fine. Yeah. You can really love somebody as a person, but sometimes you just don't click working together, and that's okay. Yeah. But when you find those people, it's like it's only natural that you just want to keep working together again over and over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Even the cast that we brought on board. I'm not good at asking people for help or asking people for favors and stuff like that.
I hear you.
And so when I reached out to my ideal cast, like I kid you not, everyone that's in the film was exactly who I had in mind when I wrote that thing.
I'm not blowing smoke up your butt, but I think that's a testament to you too. I hope you can accept that the people want to say yes because you wrote it, they trust you.
Yeah. I hadn't worked with anyone actually on that film prior to that.
Really?
These were just people that I had either seen in the audition room or had heard of.
But I really love that so much.
Yeah.
Because we talk all the time about like, you just want to give also people chances that are in the sphere. And look, if it's not within someone who's in your immediate circle, you always reach out and say, hey, do you know someone like this? And it's always about just reaching out and expanding beyond who we know, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the MAMM community, essentially, because like you, I wasn't fully integrated into it at that point, but thankfully, because of our mutual friends who introduced me to it, that's how it happens.
Right.
And even still to this day, you're still in touch with the same people, and we're all trying to keep our eye out for how we can help each other out and fold each other into other projects and things, you know?
People start taking notice and they want to, you know, bring that energy or that flavor that you have into their projects. And I'm starting to see a lot of other people collaborate from sort of the worlds that, you know, of Grandma's 80th in reverse, where I'm seeing like people break off and start
they're
things
making
on their
cool
own. I'm
stuff.
like, yes, you know,
we need more of that. Yeah, we have a really beautiful community in Vancouver, I gotta say.
Yeah.
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 Mama, út ai có trái, út son chấu cái cải môi. Cha mò la hồng mò à?
你黐線嘅，
Cơ mà hạ mò la?
你傻嘅，人飛喎！
Mom, that was her reaction to everything. So how about yourself? Tell me about your process of.
It was a lot.
Five minutes?
It was 5 minutes, 6 people, including cast on set.
That's a lot of hats.
Yes, it was. I really enjoyed it though, and I wrote it with that, keeping that in mind, because I just wanted to, again, do something really simple. Mm-hmm. But the writing, actually, it was really similar to you. The writing came, it was fine, because I knew I had a deadline. There's a story, I had an idea in mind, and so I just kept writing it, kept rewriting it. I had a great support system through MAMM to help me, you know, get it to a point where I was really happy with it. The producing was fine. I've done producing before on a short film, like years ago when I first came to Vancouver. And I was acting in that production too. So it was fun to do, but I knew for this one in particular, I didn't want to do that because I was also directing. And then producing, writing it, I didn't also want to act in it. That just wasn't on the table. So I didn't even touch that. And then I actually personally really love editing. I'm a nerd with that stuff. However, because we're under such a time crunch, my computer was like being a total jerk during that time. And it was like, the deadline took, I was like, okay, I know I've reached my ceiling. I'm calling a friend. I directed once before on a short in Calgary, And because everything was online anyway during that time, I'm like, dude, I'm sending you all the files. Can we do this in 2 days? And what that really taught me is like, reach out to people, get the help that you need, and leave it to someone who does that like full time. And he was brilliant, thank God. So bring on people who know their stuff. Yeah. It's like always such a great learning process, and it's so much fun to see people doing what they love and what they're really good at.
Right.
And I always learn so much through that. So that's what that experience has given me, and that's what I look for all the time whenever I go somewhere. It's just like, take the education whenever you can get it.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a crash course, right? When you're just thrown into the fire.
But I love it because I think like when you get those deadlines, especially with programs like MAMM, it really puts the fire under your tires, for one, and then second, you know you're going to get an end product because you have to. Yeah. You know, sometimes I think we can get in our own way of just like, I want to direct, but I'll do it later. I want to direct, but this is coming up. It's like, this will get you there. Yeah. So you just got to do it.
It's such a great activator and accelerator, because what I found interesting both times actually is that because of the nature of the program and the competition, people love to just come on board and just play. You know what I mean? Like, you'll have people that are, you know, the professionals out there doing the job and getting paid well and all that will sign up for free because of the competitive spirit. There's something to be said about just telling good, meaningful stories, you know, especially for a community like ours. And that was a very beautiful thing for me to see. A big takeaway for me as well, seeing just like how important these stories are to be told. And that's another big reason why I'm so appreciative of MAMM.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. What was your favorite part of the entire process?
The entire thing? Honestly, working with good people. It always is. Like, it doesn't matter what project, it's always working with good people who show up, who want to be there for the project, who are just as passionate as you and are putting in their time and they're doing their thing. Yeah. It always comes down to people for me. Yeah. 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 That's hands down. What about you?
I think the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the first project, Grandma's 80th, I was just in such awe. I was just like gobsmacked by how I had such a clear vision, and I had this gut feeling that I was like, you know what? I don't know Ricky, but I'm going to reach out. I think only he can play my younger brother. You know, same with Marisol. I was like, you know, I think she can play Fala. And really and truly, there's only one person that can play my grandma. I actually lied. Technically, I worked with her on Meditation Park.
Oh, okay.
So I had seen her work prior to that, but we didn't really know each other. Fair. Right, like that, right? And so I got her contact through Ricky. They have the same agent, and I was so scared to reach out to her because I was like, oh, I don't know if she remembers me, and da 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 da. And so I sent her this long and loving email, and then she was kind of like, "Sorry, who's this? Curtis? Huh?"
So your worst fears.
Yeah. I was like, okay, yeah. But then, you know, I sent her the script, and thank God she took a liking to it. And I kid you not, like, I will say this with 100% confidence: there is no one else that could have done that role justice the way that she did. And so when things just come together, when people come together, and it just works out, that is, everything to me. Definitely my favorite part of it all, for sure.
I mean, two things I want to take away from what you just said that I think, one, as actors, I'll say this for actors first, I think really helps, is that even if you're not working right now, you have no idea who's thinking about you, who saw your work before and is just meditating on like, well, how can I get him or her into another project? It happens all the time, and it's tough because we don't hear those conversations. We're not privy to those conversations. We have no idea that it's happening. Right. But it does happen, and that's a beautiful example of that.
Absolutely.
And second, don't be afraid to ask, because I was in the same boat. I'm like, oh, I don't know. And even today, I'm like, do I want to call someone and who I consider a mentor and be like, how do I do this? Yeah. You know? Yeah. But people are just so willing to have that conversation with you.
Yeah.
And
I think as a general rule, people want to help others.
yeah, and as
If
a
they
general
can, they
rule
will,
too.
yeah.
Like, I think, of course, if someone called me, I would have no hesitation. So why am I hesitating to reach out? But
You hear that, kids?
yeah, call.
Her number is below.
That's fine. But no, it's just one of those things where it's like, I think we, again, get in our own head of what's acceptable and,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
what we can and can't reach for.
most definitely.
But again, a program like MAMM helps put that fire and being like, well, if I don't do it now, I only have a day because I need to get on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So it really does kind of build the courage within yourself to get that. And it gets easier. You do it
gets
once,
easier.
you can do it again and
right.
again and again. So
I tell anybody that wants to get into this business, Asian or not really, I say a great opportunity is getting involved with MAMM, getting involved in the community.
Yeah.
You know, start off as a PA, whatever you got to do, because it's so much better to start your journey or your career off in a positive environment, in a positive space.
yeah. I mean, I would say too that going back to the competition aspect of it, it's a healthy type of competition.
Yeah.
It's a competition that fuels everybody's creativity, but you're still rooting for everybody.
Yeah, it's
so
necessary.
it's necessary, but out of love.
Out of love.
Yeah.
But you know, without that healthy competition, stakes are a bit lower, I find. You know, and I think pressure makes diamonds, as they say, right?
Yeah,
and so it's a good healthy pressure.
Yeah, I think for anybody who might be hesitating signing up for MAMM or other programs, or be like, oh, maybe I'm not ready yet, you never feel ready.
You never feel ready.
There's no such thing, sometimes, for me anyway, that you just have to do. You just
If you're
have to do it.
breathing and you know, you got a heartbeat and just a willingness or a desire to do this, you can do it.
Yeah, I completely agree.